The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, ladies and gentlemen,
we are now about to witness the truth.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. This is the Benjamin Dixon Show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is October 3rd, Monday. It's good to be in October 2016. Thanks so much for joining us. A lot happening in the news, a lot happening in not so important news, a lot of stuff that I want to cover tonight, including a review of Marvel's Luke Cage. Now, bear with me. I know it's kind of different. I did one review before, but I want to do a review of it at the end of the show. And if I don't make it in time, then that will be a part of the bonus show, because there was a lot of political implications and like black implications in that show that I vegged out and watched the entire thing in about one day. That's how my weekend went, and I intentionally, and I advise you to every now and then intentionally cut off the real world. I don't encourage you to go as far as most Americans who are completely not tuned in. I don't recommend that, but when you're as tuned in as you and I are, then it's good to cut it off every now and then. But anyway, that's what's going on. A lot of stuff to cover in addition to just the regular news. So where do we begin? Well, first I want to begin by thanking my patrons. That's exactly where I want to begin. I always want to start there. We couldn't possibly do it without you, and it's because of you that we even have a show, and that the show is now sustaining itself and starting soon. I'm really excited about the ability to start promoting the show, like actually promoting the show financially, instead of just doing the guerrilla style marketing where we share your links everywhere you possibly can. We'll actually be able to put some money to support it. So I want to thank Erica HP. Thank you so much for becoming a patron. Angelica W. Thank you so much for becoming a patron over the weekend. Alcy L. Thank you for doubling your pledge. Wow, we really appreciate that. Thanks you were already a patron, but you double the pledge. And so thank you to all of you. Anyone who is a patron gets access to our regular bonus show as well as our Friday bonus show. So there's a lot of extra content that we like to give you there. So where should I start? Let's start with international news, because if I don't, there's a strong possibility that I will not make it there, mainly because of how consuming domestic politics can be. And I want to start with the suspension of talks with bilateral talks with Russia regarding a potential ceasefire in Syria. This just happened over, I believe it either happened today or over the weekend. I don't have my dates right in front of me, but according to the Department of State spokesperson, the United States has withdrawn from bilateral talks with ceasefire. This broke down as a result of the ceasefire breaking down. Subsequently, the United States State Department signified that they were no longer going to be in bilateral talks with Russia. And as a result of that collapse, there is very little hope that there will be a diplomatic solution to the Syrian civil war. Now, the Syrian civil war has been going on for almost 6 years. Hundreds of thousands of people have been killed. I think an estimate of 12 million people have been displaced. Refugees are scattered all over the globe, and the United States has just come to the point. And this actually, before I go down that line, this was signaled by Secretary of State John Kerry over the weekend. He did signal that it was a possibility that the United States would walk away from talks, and they have. Russia has subsequently come out and declared that this is just an attempt of the United States to make it appear as though this is the fault of Russia. obviously doing their spin as well as America's doing their spin. But the ultimate victims in this are the people who are vulnerable to the continued onslaught and the continued warfare. Now, there are some speculations that this cessation of bilateral talks means that the United States may be engaging more militarily. And these are just speculations, according to Reuters, in an article by Leslie Rawton, suggesting that this may signal that the United States may become more engaged militarily. Right now, we have very limited engagement. President Obama has made it clear that he does not want to increase his engagement. And there's a strong possibility that with only a few months, I think, 4 months left in his term, that he will not commit the United States to another war in an Islamic country or predominantly Muslim country. However, with us walking away from the table, discussing potential ceasefires, discussing a diplomatic end to this problem, it really only leaves either us coming back to the table or some type of increase in our military presence to back the anti-government rebels. So we'll definitely, obviously, this is something that's moving daily. Every single day, this is changing. And the ramifications of it are so far reaching into the lives of so many millions of people. And ultimately, the losers today are the people who will fall victim to the violence because the talks have been suspended. All right. In other news, Julian Assange. Actually, I want to go here. I want to talk about Julian Assange. Julian Assange is scheduled to make a major announcement tomorrow. The original announcement, and this announcement is ostensibly supposed to be an October surprise. Some information that WikiLeaks has gathered and collected and taken their time to verify, ostensibly, and they're going to release it. And it's supposed to be detrimental to Hillary Clinton's campaign. According to interviews that he's had on Fox News, he said that this is back in August. He told Megyn Kelly that that this was a major scoop, that it could influence the race. He said it's a variety of documents from different types of institutions that are associated with the election campaign. So it's it's supposed to come tomorrow. Now, here's the interesting thing about it. According to WikiLeaks, WikiLeaks on Twitter has identified that that Julian Assange was originally supposed, and let me see if I can pull that tweet up for you. Let's see. Yeah, so tomorrow's press conference in Berlin proceeds. London's speech by Assange has been moved to Berlin due to specific information. According to some additional reporting about this from several outlets, the additional information suggests that there were security threats to Julian Assange. So he has shifted it from the locations, and it has been indicated that instead of being a live presentation, that there will be a video presentation. All of this to release information. Now, it could be something totally different tomorrow, but all indications suggest that tomorrow Julian Assange is supposed to release an October surprise that could influence the United States presidential election, particularly in a detrimental way to Hillary Clinton. In addition to, we'll keep our eye on it. I want to see it. And you guys know me, that's where I am. I want to see it. And so let's see what comes out tomorrow. But the news is, because of security risk, instead of making a live announcement, he is going to be making a video announcement on tomorrow. So we'll keep our eyes and ears out. I mean, I guess I don't have to repeat what I've said on previous shows. I'm interested in what Julian Assange has to share for a very complex set of reasons and some very simplistic reasons. One, I want to know what they have. Let's see. What is it? Two, I'm interested in seeing if he's going to live up to all of the hype he's been and the bluster and the news conferences and the media appearances and all of this. I want to see if he's going to live up to it. Not saying that he can't, but it remains to be seen, right? I don't put any stock into anyone. I don't, I need to see it deliver. Then three, the very complex set of reasons that I'm interested in seeing what he has to share is because, has anybody noticed there's a very large gap and silence in terms of information they are releasing on any other candidate, be it Donald Trump, Gary Johnson, or Jill Stein? So I'm interested in seeing what it is. I do fully expect it to be about Hillary Clinton. He is in this kind of global pissing match with Hillary Clinton. And maybe pissing match might be the understatement of the year, because according to one tweet, and actually I can pull this up, according to another tweet they shared today, Hillary Clinton, and I'm laughing about it, but I guess it's not really funny, but it's funny when you think about hell, I'm sorry, I have a sick sense of humor. But anyway, you can see in the highlighted section, they were discussing previously when she was Secretary of State, they were discussing the type of information that Julian Assange was releasing, et cetera, and the threat to national security, et cetera, et cetera. And Hillary Clinton made the suggestion, can't we just drone this guy? Can't we just drone this guy? So it's a little bit more than a pissing match. I guess he feels that Julian Assange feels like this is in his best interest to do what he can to make sure that Hillary Clinton doesn't get into the White House. However, I do believe if you're going underneath the guise, and this is just me, you know me, and you come to love me, and some of you come to love and hate to love me and love to hate me, whatever. But if you're going underneath the guise of I'm just doing a public service, then part of doing a public service means that you're going to release and seek information on everybody. And it has been an overwhelming deluge of information about how wrong the DNC has been, the types of things they've been engaged in, the way this campaign. I'm not one of those who says that clearly, I'm not one of those who says that they should not have released this information, or let's just take WikiLeaks out of it and talk about the Russia hack, the DNC leaks, because, it came from quote unquote Russia, and we don't even know that for sure, but because it came from or possibly came from Russia, that we should dismiss the information. No, it doesn't work like that. I don't care where the information came from. If it happened, it happened, right? But if you're going underneath the guise of I'm doing this for the good of humanity, and I'm doing this for the good of progress, and I'm doing this so that everyone can be informed, you can't tell me that there's not a plethora of data on Gary Johnson, Jill Stein, and Donald Trump that the world should be privy to. Now, maybe not as much for Jill Stein or Gary Johnson because they haven't been in the limelight that long, possibly. But surely somebody, one of those people could hack Donald Trump's tax returns, right? And some people say, oh, that's not as important. Well, that's important to me. That's important to me because tax policy is very, very, very important to me. You could tell the morality of your country based on your tax policy, and how a person's tax return looks is a good indication of how they will govern on tax policy. So you can't tell me that there's no information out there on it. It's just whether or not they want to get it, cultivate it, verify it, and then release it to the public. So that's the complicated part of why I'm interested. I want to see if they're just how far they're going to just, double down, triple down, quadruple down on all of their releases favoring opposition to Hillary Clinton, which is fine. Cool. Do it. Matter of fact, send me some, give us some of the exclusives. I don't care about that part. I'm just interested in the balance, because if you present yourself as balanced, be balanced. If not, just say, listen, I think Hillary Clinton is a threat, and she's a threat to me personally, so I'm out to get her. You could say that, and half of America would still agree with you. I'm just saying. All right, enough of that. Anyway, speaking of, I don't know what the hell that noise was. It sounded like it was somewhere between a snort and a grunt. No idea. You may rewind it. No, it was disgusting. Don't listen. Speaking of. Oh, my God, I'm an idiot. Speaking of taxes, Donald Trump has two problems this weekend that are worth mentioning. Donald Trump has, and let's see what screen I can pull this up on. I think I have some images of one of the tax returns that was leaked. It was just 3 pages that was sent over to the New York Times. But tax records obtained by the New York Times show that Donald Trump claimed a $916 million loss that would have allowed him to legally avoid paying federal income taxes for up to 18 years. All right, let me see if because I don't have any. That's all I wrote in my notes. That's all I wrote. I did look at the document, so let's see if I can recount it pretty accurately. So there's, of course, if anyone's done their taxes, there's a line in there that allows you to write in losses. And you can carry those losses from your businesses. So depending on the type of business, you can carry those losses over. And depending on the size of the loss, you can take it all in 1 year, or you can spread it out over a series of years. And there are limitations to how much you could take in any 1 year. Donald Trump had a loss in 1 year of over $916 million from a business, essentially running a business into the ground. Now, everyone would say, oh, well, that hurts. Not every business is going to be successful. The thing here is, and up front, in full disclosure, this is all legal. There's nothing illegal about it. However, it is important to discuss it because he's the person who is going to be signing off on the legislation Congress passes on tax policy. With that $916 million loss, that is enough to carry him to forward his losses for a total of 18 years. And so for 18 years, if he made about $50 million a year, he still would have paid no taxes for all of those years for 18 years. Now, this is different than my qualm with, let's say, corporations who do tax inversions to avoid taxes. This is different than my beef with Apple, who pays like 50 euros on €1 million. But it still falls into the category of the uber wealthy being able to game the system by destroying a business, which that destruction of business, that loss of profits, was a real business. Those were real lives, real jobs that were lost. Donald Trump was able to have 18 potentially, right? They had to extrapolate. He has not released his full returns, so we can't compare. But Donald Trump said he was smart. The smart thing to do would be to take that $916 million loss and take it as far as you can. So that's 18 potential years of paying $0 in federal income taxes. Now, here's the problem. The problem is that this is actually, I can show you the problem better than I can tell you the problem. Here is Donald Trump talking about, I think this is the right one. Let's listen in.
The unfairness of the tax laws is unbelievable. It's something I've been talking about for a long time, despite, frankly, being a big beneficiary of the laws. But I'm working for you now. I'm not working for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me.
Believe me. Okay. All right. So this is his selling point, right? He wants us to. He's doing two things at one time, and it's obscene that hardly anybody is calling him out on this. At the same time, he's proposing his tax policy that he has proposed is a windfall for the top 0.1%. I'm sorry. Yeah, 0.1%. It is a windfall. And so simultaneously, he's engaging in a very ferocious brand of Reaganomics, but he's trying to convince America that he's just a Joe Blow, blue collar billionaire who's going to work for the average American. Here's the reality of our tax policies. Somebody is going to pay the taxes. We're either going to have the wealthy pay taxes, or we're going to hit the middle class, the upper middle class, which is where it really comes from. The upper middle class really gets their head cracked. Ask me how I know, because I pay a bill every single month. I write a check to the government every single month, and I get nothing for it. Nothing. I drive on the same roads as billionaires ride on. Bentleys pass me up, and my car is clucking along, and I'm paying the government probably more than some of them. Sorry, just got personal there for a second. So he's saying he's going to work for us, the middle class, the working class, the poor, but he's been the biggest beneficiary of the tax loopholes and the types of deductions that average Americans will not see. I mean, I've written off one year on that same line some losses from a business. And it was because it was a business that I started, and I get the deduction. I'm not saying, and I think anyone who tries to insinuate that he did something illegal is very, very disingenuous and propagandistic. So we're not suggesting that he's done anything wrong. I'm just suggesting that, do we really believe that this guy who has benefited the most from all of the loopholes, from all of the deductions that the average American probably would never have, is going to do something to benefit the middle class when he has expressly adopted a hyper Reaganomics tax policy that is a windfall to the top 1%? I mean, why do people even still believe this guy? That's my question. Why would anyone believe when he has already presented a policy that will give I believe an average of $1.9 million, or was it 19 million? Okay, so that's a big difference. So I'm not going to quote the number. Actually, I have it in my notes from the other day. But he's giving a windfall profit. I'm just going to generalize here, and you can go back to the other show where I have the exact numbers. He's giving a windfall to the top 0.1% of Americans, and the average American's going to see $1,900 a year that they will save in taxes, which don't get me wrong. I've been in a bind before, and that $1,900 could go a long way. But here's the problem. When you take money out of the coffers, somebody is going to pay for it. And if we're not paying for it with taxes, that means we're paying for it with no money going to our infrastructure, no money going towards research and development sponsored by the government. And so we get research and development sponsored by corporations who are going to sponsor research and development that's beneficial to them and would never sponsor any type of R&D that's detrimental to them, even if it's representing the truth. All right, so that's another good. So you lose programs, you lose government funding for R&D, you lose infrastructure, you lose the ability to invest in human capital, you lose all sorts of things that are just. Government jobs will be cut. We're talking about cutting and thrashing the public sector because why? Because we want to give everyone a tax cut, and we want to make sure those tax cuts are concentrated at the top. Somebody is going to pay. The question is who? And with Donald Trump's tax policy, he has made it expressly clear that it will not be the top 1.1%, because he's smart, because he understands. He has tax accountants. He's not smart. His tax accountants and his attorneys are smart. They're able to show him, well, it's okay for you to lose, to basically go bankrupt, not in the legal sense, not in the Chapter 11 sense, but in the sense of losing almost $1 billion on an investment, because, well, you could just write that off over the, even if that 900 is, and please, before you comment below, please only comment if you've actually started a business and you understand how the deductions can go, where you did not lose $916 million cash, that's the value of what you lost. And so even though that's not $916 million out of pocket, he's still able to write that off. And that's enough to make sure that for almost an entire generation, 18 years, he did not pay a dime in federal income taxes. While you and me, 18 years ago, how old was I? I don't know. I was young, so I wasn't making hardly any money, but I was paying taxes. Guarantee you, we were getting taxes taken out and ended up some years not getting a refund owing the government. Tax policy, I think, is more important than anything else because tax policy shows you where your priorities are and shows you where your nation's sense of morality is. All right, let's take this caller. I still have like 5 or 6 stories to cover, but I want to take this caller who's been on hold. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben, this is Bryce. What's going on?
Hey, man, what's going on? What's happening?
Well, Trump's taxes that's just wild. And, his plan is even worse. And I was laughing at your rant that you gave because, like, how the government is. That is just insane. But my question is, if America didn't get into some of these overseas issues, just say, okay, let's just say hypothetically, whatever president came in like 8 years ago after the Bush-Cheney disaster. Okay, if Obama came in, but anybody, if they came in and said, okay, you know what, America, we're changing our policies, we pulling everybody out, we making all these changes, and all hell breaks loose overseas, and then everybody turns to us looking for help, but we say, listen, we really can't, really not trying to get involved, we're making a whole change of things, I guess outside of the treaties, or, maybe things we could do even with that. What do you think, how do you think things would be?
Oh, man. I mean, it's the political science question of guns or butter, right? I mean, what are we going to use our money for? Are we going to use our tax dollars for weapons, or are we going to use our tax dollars for basically butter represented human investment, human capital? What are we going to spend? Where are our priorities? And so not only would our priorities be indicated, thanks for the call, Bryce, not only would our priorities be demonstrated by our propensity to use our money for war, but it's also indicated by our tax policy. The only thing that matters, the only thing that matters out of all of the political spin and all the political arguments, honestly, is what does our tax policy say? Because that will tell you what are we interested in changing the future for to end global warming or to reverse the effects of global warming. Are we interested in investing in our infrastructure? We can tell all of our so our priorities can be told. Here's the other thing, and I'm sorry, my brain, I had like 30 different thoughts right there that one moment. Forgive me. Here's the other thing. Like, America has had this tradition forever where you have a segment of America who is willing to spend their tax dollars on war. I believe there was a slogan during the Civil War. They said, essentially the essence of it was, we'll take taxes for defense, but not 1 cent more. That was like a slogan, give or take. It was paraphrased. Taxes for defense, but not 1 cent more. So you always have had in American history people who were willing to see all of their money go to war, quote unquote defense, and nothing to the general welfare, right? Nothing to promote the general welfare, which is, not codified, but enshrined in our American founding, the founding of America. That's because you have people who have structurally benefited from the very beginning, who don't need anything from the government, but for you to protect our borders, but for you to advance our economic desires globally, to forward. Do you realize, I hear a lot of people say we want to end empire, right? And I get it. Do you understand this empire is 100% about economics, about not spreading capitalism so much, but spreading American capitalism and making the global order such that it's conducive to our multinational corporations, or beneficial rather to our multinational corporations. That's what our empire. That's what our Navy is around the world for. That's why we have bases and 800 bases spread across the globe. It's not because I would say someone should do a study. There's probably a study out there. What percentage is there strictly for security, and what percentage is there for spreading and making sure that our corporations can operate in these nations without fear of those nations taking advantage of them through force. That's the entire point. So what would our world look like if we took how many trillions of dollars that we spent on this war, on these wars? It would not even take a fraction of that to send an entire generation of people to college, to pay for college. And so it just shows you that our desires are, as a nation, our desire is to spend money on defense and not 1 cent more. 857-600-0518. All right. So one other piece of news on Donald Trump that is worthwhile, because this is just breaking, and I think it's actually an interesting piece. So Donald Trump has had a issue with his foundation. Yes, Hillary Clinton has had issues with her foundation, and yes, I have reported on it. Go back and see the backlog. But just today, it's a damn shame I have to give that caveat, but I'll give it that disclaimer rather. But I'll give it. So just as of today, this is reporting by from the Washington Post, and I follow this guy on Twitter, but I can't remember his name, but I'll get it. So the New York Attorney General has disclosed today that Donald Trump has ordered, Donald Trump's personal charity to cease fundraising immediately. After determining, according to the Washington Post, after determining that the foundation was violating state law by soliciting donations without proper authorization. All right. And I think this guy's name is Farrenhold. Give me 2 seconds and I can tell you. But anyway, there was a Washington Post reporter who had been doing extensive research on Donald Trump's foundation. The long and short of it is that in New York, in order for you to be a charity that solicits money from other individuals, you have to get special clearance, you have to get special permissions, and you have to do a special level of auditing. Donald Trump's foundation, the Donald Trump Foundation, has operated underneath the guise that the money going into the foundation comes directly from Donald Trump. It's like the Sean Combs Foundation. Puffy donates his money there, and that foundation does whatever he wants to with it, right? And it's always been a tax shelter, a way for people to, not tax shelter, but a way for people to control a portion of their dollars that would ultimately have gone to the federal government in income taxes, right? So if that's how you operate your foundation, then the government, at least in New York, does not require this special type of auditing that ensures that what you're spending the money on is not beneficial to you. Because it's your money, your foundation, you're donating it, and you should be able to have looser controls over that type of scenario. Donald Trump has shown, and what is this guy's name? I'm not going to find it in time. Anyway, I watch him like every day. But anyway, Donald Trump's foundation, Donald Trump has not given his personal money to his foundation in years. And as a result of that, he has been operating as a charity, but he's taking other people's money and he's using that money for whatever he uses it for. And that's problematic. And the New York Attorney General has ordered them to cease raising finances, contributions, because unless these dollars are coming from him personally, if the money's not coming from him personally, then he has to have a special designation to be able to raise those dollars from somewhere else. And at the end of each year, he has to do special disclosures that demonstrate that those dollars were used in a specific way that was not beneficial to the namesake of the foundation, who is Donald Trump. All right. Now, speaking of the election, since there's a couple of things on the election, I want to talk about the polls. What is it? The poll, but the debate. So the debate happened last week, and we all wondered what was going to happen, particularly with the polls, because that's all that matters. Whoever they declare to be the winner that night is completely irrelevant, because all that really matters is who gets the post-debate bump. Interestingly enough, it looks like there may not have been much, if any, of a bump for Hillary Clinton. As you can see on your screen, it's really small, but you can see on the far right-hand side, Real Clear Politics average of polls has Hillary Clinton at 3.1% above Donald Trump. She's leading in most polls except the LA Times, the USC tracking polls that has Donald Trump up by 5. And they're tied in 2 polls, including the Gravis poll and the Bloomberg poll. But in every other poll, Hillary Clinton is leading. But because of his strong lead in the LA Times USC tracking poll, Hillary Clinton only comes out with a margin of 3.1%, being ahead by 3.1%. That's still within the margin of error. And if you look at the trend, towards the end of October on your far right-hand side, you'll see that both of them actually got a very minor bump after the debate. Neither one of them, actually, I might have to drill in on that, but it doesn't look at just the eye test. It doesn't look like Donald Trump lost a lot of ground. And I'm actually going to look that up on the fly, guys, because my eyes may be deceiving me. I'll give you the exact numbers momentarily. However, Hillary Clinton is still within the margin of error on the general election polls, which is fascinating because of how badly everyone made it seem Donald. Hillary Clinton should be so much further ahead than Donald Trump. That's all I'm saying. That's ultimately the too long didn't read. So yeah, actually, I thought so. So 47.8. Let me zoom in. It looks like Donald Trump went down by like 0.1% from the previous week. 44 point. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more, folks. Here. And yes, I'm doing this on the fly. I know. But this is live talk radio, and I'm by myself tonight. No producers tonight. Okay, so it looks like Donald Trump may have lost like a fraction of a percent after the debate. But considering the way the debate, okay, here we go. This is where I'll start. Remember when I said to you that Donald Trump, by not imploding, actually won the debate? And I had a lot of people say, no, Hillary Clinton won the debate. I think Hillary Clinton was more prepared. I think Hillary Clinton delivered a little bit better than Donald Trump. I think she performed better than Donald Trump. But Donald Trump had the bar so low for him that all he had to do was go on stage and not implode. And he did a good job of not imploding. You would expect there to be a wider spread, like 3.1% after that first debate. Donald Trump has been normalized. Like unless he shows up, and we'll see the debate tomorrow night with the vice presidential picks. And then the following week, there's another presidential debate. I believe maybe it's 2 weeks away. But unless Donald Trump shows up to the next debate and is coming out there in a pink G-string, I don't really see him performing worse than he performed last Tuesday or Monday, whatever day. I don't see him performing worse than that. By him he only can go up from here. Again, saving him coming out in an orange G-string to match his skin color. Saving that, He's only going to go up from here. And you know what? My friend over, and I guess my colleague over at New Progressive Era, kid in high school, smart as a whip. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Smart. He basically said it so good. It was like it took every trick in the book to get Hillary Clinton the nomination. And she's not beating Donald Trump the way somebody should be beating Donald Trump. And that's because we have nominated, or they or whoever voted for her, nominated like the weakest candidate ever. And they're blaming everybody but the candidate. It's everybody's fault. It's the millennials' fault. It's black people's fault if you don't vote for if Donald Trump, it's women who they're going to hell, if they, according to whatever her Albright, whatever her name is, special place in hell. It's everybody's fault but Hillary Clinton. Can we just take a step back and realize that after America looked at both of them last week, Hillary Clinton's lead did not spread. If anything, it just remained pretty static since the debate. Yeah. I mean, what else is there to... That's it. I mean, Hillary Clinton can really lose this election. That's the bottom line. Hillary Clinton can seriously lose this election to Donald Trump, and we could be facing a President Donald Trump. Not because of people who are going to vote third party. People should be free to vote for whoever the hell they want to vote for. Not because millennials don't like her. Millennials don't have to like it. I mean, you talk about aggression, and you're talking about an assault, forcing somebody into a commitment that they don't want to be a part of, just because you're trying to guilt them into it. I mean, that's like a microaggression. I mean, that's like the worst example of how human beings should treat each other. Like, I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but do you realize, all these liberals trying to strong arm millennials into loving Hillary Clinton? That is the definition of an abusive relationship. So millennials, it's not their fault. It's nobody's fault but Hillary Clinton, her team, and the Democratic Party if Donald Trump wins. Anyway, moving on. But she has a little help. Hillary Clinton has a little help. And she has actually not a little help. She has some pretty big endorsements and quasi-endorsements that came for her over the weekend. And I'm going to start with the first person, LeBron James. LeBron James has endorsed Hillary Clinton in an op-ed that he presented in the Business Times, International Business or something. I forgot. Anyway, but it's actually going to be written or published today or tomorrow in the Akron Journal, the local newspaper. Ohio, a major swing state that Donald Trump is doing good in, Hillary Clinton has went after a pretty important endorsement. Not a political endorsement, not a politician endorsement, but LeBron James. They just are on the heels of winning their first championship as the Cleveland Cavaliers. And let me just insert here that I'm still personally bitter. I am bitter as F over LeBron James leaving Miami. I am a Miami Heat fan. I have been a Miami Heat fan since 1991. The franchise basically started in '89 with an expansion. But I'm seriously bitter about that. So LeBron, I like him as a human being, great athlete. You can't deny him, a good person, but LeBron can kick bricks. No, I don't even care about the endorsement. That's not what makes me mad. I'm still mad about him leaving the Miami Heat, LeBron. But I digress. Let me read some of his words in explaining why he's endorsing Hillary Clinton. 2 years ago, according to LeBron, I told you that I was coming home to Northeast Ohio, where I was born and raised. When I came back, I had two missions. In June, thanks to my teammates and all of your support, I accomplished my on-the-court mission. We came back, blah, 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 blah. They won. Holding that trophy was beyond words, blah. Okay. As a kid, I didn't have much money. It was just my mom and me, and things were rough at times, but I had a basketball that gave me a family, a community, and an education. That's more than a lot of children in Akron can say. There are a lot of people who want to tell kids who grew up like me and looked like me that they just don't have anything to look forward to. That's dead wrong. And that's why I came back to Cleveland, the second mission, to continue my second mission. I am determined to make sure my kids in Akron have what they need to become their best selves. When I look at this year's presidential race, it's clear which candidate believes the same thing. Only one person running understands the struggles of an Akron child born in poverty. Pause. I can only read so far. I don't think there's anybody running. Not Jill Stein, not Gary Johnson, not Donald Trump, and definitely not Hillary Clinton. Definitely not Donald Trump. None of them understand what a poor black kid goes through in America. But I'm going to let you finish talking, LeBron. All right. I support Hillary Clinton. Only one person truly understands the struggles of an Akron child born in poverty. And when I think about the kinds of policies and ideas the kids in my foundation need from our government, the choice is clear. That candidate is Hillary Clinton. I support Hillary because she would build on the legacy of my good friend, Barack Obama. Pause. What legacy is that, LeBron? Be specific for me, man. Be specific. If you're talking about the legacy of not having a proto-fascist or quasi-white nationalist following the first black president, okay, I can dig that. But in terms of an actual legacy of what he's done, anyway, see last week's episode. All right. Like my foundation, Hillary has been a champion for children and their futures. And pause. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm okay with LeBron endorsing Hillary. That's his business. Just like those of you who don't want to ever see I'm not fighting with anybody over who they want to vote for anymore. Period. Vote for and do whatever the hell you want to do. Matter of fact, you could just stay home. As far as I'm concerned, do what makes you happy, because life is too short for somebody to force you or guilt you into doing something that you don't like. And so since I give you that freedom, I'm okay with LeBron endorsing Hillary. That's his business. But I will dissect this here letter. All right. For over 40 years, she's been working to improve public schools. Expand to access to healthcare. Yes, she did do a little bit of that. Not much. Support children's hospitals, she did, and so much more. She wants to make sure kids have access to good education, no matter what the zip code they live in. She'll rebuild schools that are falling apart and put more money in the computer science. Yeah, she'll probably do some computer science. She'll make sure teachers are paid what they deserve. No, she's not. Nobody is, because nobody is really actually paying attention to that problem in a meaningful, substantive way. Nobody is. She also plans to make college a reality for more people in America. Yes, but we could do better, because we can make college free. My kids in Akron are proof. The hope and the motivation that come from knowing college can be their future, no matter what obstacles they may face. Finally, thank you, LeBron. This was a long letter. All right, I cut out 75% of it. But it was, I'm still mad. You left Miami, so whatever. Finally, we must address the violence of every kind the African-American community is experiencing in our streets and seeing on our TVs. I believe rebuilding our communities by focusing on at-risk children. However, I am not a politician. I don't know everything, and it would take finally to end the violence. But I do know we need a president who brings us together and keeps us informed or unified. Policies and ideas that divide us are not the solution. We must all stand together, and no matter where we are from, the color of our skin. And Hillary is running on the message of hope and unity that we need. This is really all I want to read. There's a lot of work to be done in Akron and across our great country. We need a president who understands our community and will build on the legacy of President Obama. So let's get out and register to vote, show up to the polls, and vote for Hillary Rodham Clinton. I almost put an applause there. No, I'll put an applause there. I'll tell you why. I mean, hey, he's going to take a lot of heat on this endorsement. So before people jump off the boat and say LeBron's a sellout, do you realize the kind of shitstorm that's going to come his way in Ohio? He's going to take a major hit because of, so one, I'm going to applaud him for his bravery for doing this. Not if you agree with him or not. He's about to take a real hit like never before. You think you got hate when you left Cleveland, Bron? You about to see hate on a new. You think they burned your jersey before? I mean, there's nothing that divides America more than partisan politics. And once you step into that fray, I mean, they don't care who you are. Jesus Christ himself could come down and say, I want you to vote for Bernie Sanders. And evangelicals across the world will renounce their faith and walk away because they hate the other side that much. So for that reason and the amount of bravery and the amount of heat that he's getting ready to take, I would applaud him. I don't agree with a lot of what he said in here because there's, he's a basketball player. So I'm going to leave it pretty steady. I'm not even going to critique it too much other than to say, good luck with that, LeBron. They're about to come after you like never before. And if people hated you before, they're sure going to hate you now. I don't hate you. I just think you made a bad move leaving Miami. But, I guess you won the championship. So anyway, I guess hell. Dwayne Wade has left Miami, so I guess I can't be. If I'm be mad at anybody, I should be mad at Pat Riley at this point. All right, another endorsement that came for Hillary Clinton this weekend, and it wasn't really to be sure. It wasn't an endorsement, but it was a statement of support, and there's a big difference. This statement came from Angela Davis, and Angela Davis was at a conference, a Black Lives Matter conference, and the future of the movement for Black Lives, et cetera, at a university this weekend. And she said that there is no recording of this because based on their contract, they could not record, but it was tweeted out what she said. She said, I have serious problems with the other candidate, speaking about Hillary Clinton. But I am not so narcissistic to say I cannot bring myself to vote for her. Angela Davis. Man, Angela Davis is the queen. She's the goddess. I love me some Angela Davis. Like she can do no wrong in my opinion. And I knew because I've read enough of her and I've listened to her talk enough that there was more to the statement than the sound bite that everyone was retweeting and everybody was sending to me like I didn't know what it was. I already heard it. I already knew it. I already read it. I already knew what she said, but I also knew that there was context. And this was 2 sentences out of, actually people were only sharing 1 sentence out of a 45-minute conversation. And I want to read a take that was given by Kirsten West Savali of The Root. And she really put this in context. She said, according to the attendees' tweets, the people who are tweeting this out, Angela Davis also said that she tries not to tell young people what to do because she resented that when she was younger. Pause. This is the approach that everyone came like, oh, she's talking down to us. She's so condescending and she's calling us narcissistic and blah, 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 blah. No, right? You didn't get the entire context. And yes, I'm caping for, not that she needs it, but I'm caping for Angela Davis because Angela Davis has been and will always be the blankety blank truth. All right. Now, you know what? And here's before I even get into even further, here's the other thing. We got to get out of this. Listen, I am not going to call someone a sellout because of who they decide to vote for. Because just like the imbeciles who call Cornel West a sellout for opposing President Obama, it's just as imbecilic for us to call Angela Davis a sellout because she's made the decision for herself that she would rather vote for Hillary Clinton than to see Donald Trump become president. That's her prerogative. And if you want her to respect, if you want us to respect your prerogative, we got to respect each other's prerogative. And here's the other thing. Now, here's the flip side of it. All these people running around worried about people. This is a little meta, so follow me. People are running around worried about whether or not people are calling Angela Davis a sellout. Yeah, I just flipped. I'm on the other side of the argument now. Where were you when all of these people were calling Cornel West an Uncle Tom and a sellout? I mean, people have tried to destroy Cornel West's legacy because he decided to endorse Bernie Sanders. And when he could not get a satisfactory Democratic platform, he decided to endorse Jill Stein. So everybody in the Democratic establishment ecosystem has tried to destroy Cornel West. And now you're afraid because people, and I'm going to go back to the other side of the argument in a minute. So hang on, it's going to buckle up for the ride, right? You're concerned that people are calling Angela Davis a sellout while you have called Cornel West a sellout. Number one, I'm tired personally of black folks arguing over two white people. I'm just tired. I'm sorry. These black voices have contributed too much to the American dialogue for us to be divided and going at each other's throat and everybody's an Uncle Tom who doesn't support our candidate. No. Trying to do my best not to cuss in this segment because listen, I'm not even, I think you're a moron if you are actively supporting and pushing Donald Trump. I don't think you're an Uncle Tom. I think you're might be on the take. I think, the limelight might be nice and bright for people who will push that perspective, but I'm not going to try to destroy you and say that you are somebody who, not because of who you support. I'll try to destroy you because of what you do, right? To be sure, if you do something, I'm coming for you, but I'm not going to. So all of this arguing over people not being truly black or people not being truly this or that because you decided to vote for somebody else. Both sides have done it. Both sides are doing it. And I'm just not doing it for two old white people. Nah, they're both in their 70s. Both of them were alive when Jim Crow was still alive. I'm not labeling nobody else a sellout. I don't think I have ever a sellout over who they choose to endorse. But if you're mad at people calling Angela Davis a sellout, then where were you when everybody and you were calling Cornel West a sellout? Just drop it. Everybody, drop this insinuation and this assertion. It's not an insinuation. It's a bold assertion that the person who doesn't support your candidate doesn't know how the world works and they're a sellout. All right, that's a flip side of it. And I'm back to the opposite side of the people who are insane enough to actually call Angela Davis a sellout. In context of what she was saying, she said, according to theroot.com, Kirsten West Savali's article is a great take. Go read it. According to the attendee's tweet, Davis also said that she tries not to tell young people what to do because she resented that when she was younger. That is important to note here, because the conversation surrounding Davis's comments have largely devolved into reductionist charges that she is trying to shame people into voting for Clinton. These discussions are dangerous, misleading, and frankly embarrassing. All right, well, she did a little rhetorical jab at the end. Okay, I'll leave off the embarrassing part because that's kind of an act of shaming too, Kirsten. But other than that, your article was great. Listen. If a person who has contributed as much as Angela Davis looks at the scenario and says that I have a lot of beef with Hillary Clinton, but the beef that I have is not so important, I'm not so beholden to that anger, I'm not so narcissistic that I can't vote for her. She's saying it as a self-reflection of everything that I have against Hillary Clinton. It is not so important that I cannot bring myself to vote for her in opposition to Donald Trump. That's her decision in a microcosm, and people took that and said that she's trying to shame you guys. And in context, and this is why it's important for sometimes for us to get context. In context, that's what she was saying. She was not trying to shame you. In context, she made it clear that I don't do that to young people because I hated it when people did it to me. And yes, I will always, forever, come for people who come for Angela Davis, because Angela Davis, she's the queen. Just like I come for people who come for Cornel West and Adolph Reed. Let's just not, I mean, let's talk about something else besides the election, so we don't keep always keep trying to destroy people over their calculus. You know, if you're going to go after somebody because of their actions and what they've done. Because you want them to respect your choice, respect their choice. Or not. Or not. You know, do whatever you want to do. All right, what time is it? Oh, it's after 10. So I've got a really good review of Luke Cage. It's actually so good it probably shouldn't be a bonus show. But tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this review for Luke Cage as a bonus show tonight, and I'm going to probably do another version that I will release for everyone, because the Luke Cage was great, but it was some things socially, politically that we should discuss, and some problems that I had with it, and some really high points. Like, I loved it. So we'll discuss that. If you want to get immediate access to it, I'm going to record it immediately after the show and have it up to publish by 10 for you to consume by 10:30 or 10:45 Eastern Standard Time. But go to patreon.com/the BPD show and become a patron for like $3 a month. And it's really easy peasy. You know, just buy me a coffee, a little, you know, like a McDonald's coffee, not even a Starbucks. Like Starbucks, like $6 for a latte. I'm just get me a McDonald's, you know, coffee. $3 a month to support what we're doing here at the Benjamin Dixon Show, and get access to all of our bonus shows, including our full hour bonus show on Friday. On Friday, like last Friday's show was the bomb. Like, I was doing the show on Friday and I'm like, man, this is so good. This is so good. I can cut this up and probably get like 50,000 hits off of these different clips. But no, the Friday show, it's a special way of saying thank you to my patrons. So go become a patron. Support the Benjamin Dixon Show. I'll see you next time.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support the Benjamin Dixon Show. It's Ben Dixon! If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/the BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.